Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join Cobalt's product overview today. We really appreciate all the dedication and work that all of you put into the Cobalt product sales around the globe. It really is a pleasure for us to count with so many really great partners, so thank you. I will start by sharing some great news. The NAB show announced on November 3rd that Cobalt had received not one, but three 2021 NAB Show Product of the Year prestigious awards. So we're very happy to share this with you. We took 2 spots in the hardware infrastructure category, and one award was in the IT networking infrastructure and security technology category. The first one is our recently launched 9905 multipath card, which is our 3G up and down cross converter. There's frame sync, embed, de-embed. It's our multi-purpose audio processor that supports up to 4 paths. So we're very excited to have all the work on this product acknowledged by NAB. The second product award in this category is our brand new Indigo ST 2110, which is really a factory add-on to the Cobalt 9904, the previous card, or the 9904 UDX 4K. So as you all know, the 9904 and 9905, they already include a very advanced audio and video processing engine, and including everything all the way up to 3D LUT, and the 9904 also supports SL, HDR encoding and decoding. And now this Indigo option basically adds native SMPTE 2110 support with multiple 25 gig Ethernet interfaces to the existing 9904 and 9905. So that was our second award. And our third award is in the security technology area, which is our RIS main profile security option. And of course, we've been part of the RIS group from the very beginning. Both our Executive Vice President of Engineering, Ciro Noronha, and myself are very active participants of this group. Now we got an award for the main profile security option. So that basically, it's an option that adds built-in encryption and authentication to the entire Cobalt product compression line, and including both encoders and decoders. So those are the 3 awards that we just received from NAB. So we're very excited about it. And one more great news that we heard last week was that we also were part of another award, which is because we're one of the contributors to NBC Universal's Ultra HD HDR Atmos coverage and distribution of the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. So they were selected for Special Innovation Award by IBC, and they were very kind to share the award with Cobalt, since we had been part of the solution with them. So those are all great news that came out in the last few weeks, even though there were no in-person events. We were able to share some of our latest products and to be acknowledged. So we're very thankful. Today, we're gonna do a quick product overview. We have a number of new features on some of the existing products and a couple of new products that we wanna talk about with you. We're gonna have Dr. Ciro Noronha, our Executive Vice President of Engineering, who's gonna cover some of the portions. And also we have Chris Garcia, our Sales Manager for the West Coast and Latin America. So I won't take any more time. If you guys have any questions, please, throughout the presentation, feel free to use the chat box. We'll be monitoring and answering all the questions throughout, and also address more questions at the end. And please mute your microphones, and let's get started. So thank you very much again, and here to a good session. Now I'll leave it with Ciro, who's going to go over the intended demos that we had for IBC before the show got canceled.
Okay, so if we had gone to IBC, this is what we would have seen. We are introducing the combination 9905 MPX plus the Indigo DC2110, which is basically native 2110 support in the 9905, so available for the 9904 as well. So since there is no IBC, we are going to post a recording of this demo to YouTube, and that link will be sent to you once it's available. The second demo we would have is a RISC multipath demonstration showing seamless redundancy with RISC when you can send the signal to more than one path for added reliability. Again, we are going to have a demo on YouTube shortly, and that's going to be actually a live demo. Will be live video for a while. We were also going to host an HDR demo together with our partner Technicolor. It was a demonstration of how advanced HDR by Technicolor can distribute both BT709, which is the original color space, and BT2020, which is wide color gamut, plus HDR SDR with the two 9904 UDX 4K cards. So you can have a single workflow that supports both SDR in standard color gamut and HDR in wide color gamut. Moving on, that's the Cobalt product overview, and I'll hand it off to Chris Garcia.
Okay, thank you, Cyril. So I'll be covering the rest of, or some of the products that are more in line to our traditional processing conversion platforms that we have within OpenGear. So starting with this first product, this is a relatively new product that we have. This product sort of came out of a lot of requests from our customers that were asking for a very simple but very high quality conversion OpenGear platform that would sort of offer something that the competition wasn't offering. In our case, we offer what you see here is basically 4 independent conversion channels that can also have color correction and frame sync as a standard feature. And using this built-in crosspoint that we have on the output, we can allocate any of the inputs to any of the outputs. So the same quality that we have here is the same quality that we offer in the flagship product, which is our 9904 platform, but in a more simplistic way that sort of allows any user to have that same quality and sort of performance that the other more high-end products have. So this again is the 4-channel HDMI to SDI with the built-in frame sync, and you get the optional color correction if needed. Next slide, please. And then on the other end, we have the SDI to HDMI product. It's very similar to the first HDMI to SDI, but in this case, it is limited to 2 channels. You do also get the color correction option and the frame sync with the output crosspoint, but in this case, just limited to 2 channels, just because we find that a lot more customers are asking us for the HDMI conversion in a bulk versus SDI in a bulk conversion to HDMI. So again, very similar to the other product that we just feature with, which is the 9926. Next slide. And this is a relatively new product that we have. This sort of came out of the same platform that we've been offering for some time now, which is the 9910DA4Q family. This sort of brings out that same quality performance distance runs as the 9910DA4Q, but this is a more simplistic approach to that card for those that need a very simple, just the 1x configuration. In the past, we had other models that were sort of getting older. The components were also getting aged. So we decided to migrate the whole platform to this new design that offers more flexibility, more performance. So in a sense, you get more bang for your buck. With the 1x16, that allows this card to be more flexible and more efficient in a very dense environment. What you see here is essentially what you see on the 9910DA 4-cube. You get the same outputs, but in this case, just limited to one. And similar backplane as well. Next slide. And then to continue on this same platform, we also have the same platform, but in a 2-channel, which allows you now to be able to do a basic cross-point configuration if you want to do a dual 1x8, or you can keep it as a 1x16, so similar to the other product. But in this case, we have 2 dedicated inputs, and you still have 16 outputs that you can configure using the cross-point as you wish. And again, it offers the same distance quality, the same performance with the same component configuration, but it's just in a more dense package. And again, offering the same flexibility with different backplanes. Next slide, please. And this product sort of represents where Cobalt is today, where we have a lot of products that are slowly migrating towards the 4K 12G domain. This sort of bridges those different formats, rasters into a product that offers not only the format support, but also the interface support. In this case, we can support anywhere from baseband. We can do SD-SDI all the way through 12G. But in addition, we can also support SFP modules for fiber as an option that can be configured depending on the model that you have. In this case, we have 3 models. We have a 1x16, a 2x16, a 4x16 that can each of these models be configured in different configurations or mix and matching interfaces with SFPs, and then also the baseband. So also, if you have a module that has, for example, HDMI, you can also throw it into the mix. And now you have HDMI combining the SDI or 12G links to go from or come from any location into this card. Built in, you also have this very unique cross-point configuration scheme that allows you to name and label different inputs and outputs as needed. So it's a very very flexible, robust, and capable card that a lot of our customers are using for day-to-day to receive or send out any signals in a bulk or in discrete configurations. Next slide.
Thank you, Chris. So I'll pick it up from here. We'll start talking about the compression products, Cobalt compression products. So we'll start with our flagship 4K encoder, which can do 1 4K or 4 HDs up to 3G. This encoder it basically does everything you can possibly need. So it does MPEG-2, it does H.264, it does HEVC 265, it does from HD all the way to 4K, and it does a lot of audio. That's one of the things that differentiates us. We can do a lot of audio in this device. It supports MPEG-1 Layer 2, AAC-LC, HEAC, LPCM, which is uncompressed audio, and several flavors of Dolby. It also supports both stereo and surround. The nice thing about this encoder is the audio is like credits based. So you have a certain audio support and you can float it between the different encoding channels. The other part that's very cool in this encoder is the output protocol support. We, again, do a lot of different protocols. You can do the usual plain vanilla UDP RTP, but if you're sending over the internet, we have RIST, we have HLS, and also RTMP. So you can use this encoder to contribute, to push to places like YouTube or even Facebook. And also it's got the traditional ASI output. So the same encoder that's pushing to YouTube can be running a microwave modulator. We recently introduced frame sync support on it, which means it will keep going if this signal goes away. And we introduced SRT support on the protocols for legacy applications. This next slide shows you the capabilities at a glance of all the Cobalt encoder devices. So we have the older 9223, that's 264, 422 only, and the new one, which can do pretty much every compression standards. It can do 422, 420, and 8-bit, 10-bit, and the audio capabilities as well. One important thing here, if you're interested in surround encoding, is that the AAC audio compression supports surround, and the way we present it is you can trade 3 stereo licenses for 1 surround license. So if you have 3 or more, you can simply configure a surround channel and you have end-to-end surround support. So it's very flexible in that way. Moving on, we get to our decoder line, which is our flagship decoder, the 9992 decoder, which can do either 1 4K or dual HDs. Again, with a very, very compelling audio support package. So it does MPEG 2, MPEG 4, 264, 265, 8-bit, 10-bit, 422, 420, and again, a very extensive protocol support, UDP, RTSP, RTMP, and on RTMP, you can be either client or server. So you can even pretend to be an origin server, and you can connect to that, and it will just display. The audio support is also same idea, very flexible, and it floats between the channels. So what's new on this one is Dolby E decoding support. Here I have the same tables for the video and audio support, comparing the 2 decoder offerings for for Cobalt. And I would like to stress the fact here that in the 9992 decoder, you have now AC4 decoding and Dolby E decoding. So you can take Dolby E and decode to baseband all channels. So if you are familiar with the Dolby E, it can have 8 channels in a Dolby E, and then they can be organized as multiple stereo, multiple mono, or surround. All of that is supported in multiple versions. We can have multiple of that. So it is quite flexible in that sense. It's probably the only product in the industry today with this whole package of audio support plus the video. Here's a summary of what the new features are coming in or are available in these 2 products. On the 9992 encoder, you have the frame sync support, which basically means the encoder will continue on loss of video. So if your video goes away, it will continue going either with the flat field or the last frame. And the other cool thing that we just did is metadata auto configuration from VPID. So if you have a signal with proper VPID that's indicating colorimetry and the transfer characteristics, it will set the metadata directly from the VPID. So if you're, let's say, using this encoder to do HDR to YouTube, just give it an HDR feed, it will configure automatically, and YouTube will be happy. On the decoder, the 9992 decoder, we are now included a top-of-the-line up-down cross converter, and that's included at no additional cost. It's just a firmware upgrade if you already have this device. It can convert from any resolution and frame rate to any resolution and frame rate within HD, and it can take 4K down to any HD resolution. The VPID configuration that we had in the encoder, where the encoder configures from the VPID, the decoder will extract that metadata and push that into the VPID as well, completely automatic for it. That's a new feature. We got the award for risk security, so we have a number of risk security options. Security has 2 aspects: encryption, where you protect the content, and authentication, where you confirm that whoever you're talking to is what you want to talk to. So we now have a complete suite of options. You can do both AES 128 and 256 on the encryption, and you have a full authentication suite where you can take any Cobalt, any supported Cobalt device can be your certificate authority, or you can have your external certificate authority. I know this is complicated. Nobody really knows that stuff very well, but we made it very simple for you, and it's all guided. It's all on a web interface, and it's very easy to use. You don't need to be a security expert. And that's it for compression. Let me talk about the 9904 UDX 4K, which is our flagship 4K up-down cross converter, frame sync. It converts from any format. You do full up-down cross. What's new about it, it supports level A and a level B. So you can come in level A or level B, and you can come out level A or level B. It doesn't matter. You can do all kinds of conversions. And it can do color correction. It can do 3D LUTs, static 3D LUTs. It can do SLHDR encoding and decoding. It's the full package. And again, it's all software-enabled solutions. So if you can buy it today. If you don't need a feature, don't pay for it. And when you need that feature tomorrow, you can just enable it. What's new about that product is we are adding Dante support, Dante audio support. As you know, Dante audio is uncompressed digital audio coming over the network. The 9904 will have support for 16 in and 16 out Dante audios. So the same way as you have MADI in, MADI out, your audio can now be running from Dante. And again, this doesn't require new hardware. This is a pure software update and a license. So all the audio processing functions that you have in this car today will be available for Dante in and Dante out. And they actually obviously don't need to be the same. You can go SDI in, come Dante out. You can go Dante in, come SDI out. It all works for you. And now I'm going to hand up back to Chris to talk about the 9905 MPX.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so to continue on what Sarah just discussed, so the 9904, now this is the 9905 MPX. So MPX really indicates that this is a multi-processing system, a multi-processing platform, I should say, that allows people to have a little more density with the same, typical processing power that you would have on the 9904. But now you have 4 discrete channels that you can basically utilize for multiple services. You can mix and match any conversion processing requirements. Plus, because you also have a built-in, built-in cross point in the car, you can sort of take any of the inputs to any of the outputs, and you have also dedicated AES and MADI inputs as well. What you see here, these blocks on the screen here, these are what you get as a default processing elements. So as you can see here, we have your typical audio processing, which means you can do embedding, de-embedding, creating different mixes, shuffling. You have your up and down cross conversion. And then this one has, by default, the ability to do 3D LUTs. You also get noise reduction, frame sync, and audio delay, which is nice to have it as a standard feature without having to pay extra. And then the next more premium options that we have on this card are similar to the 9904, but more unique to this, which is offering the ability to do color correction. You can also add BBC LUTs if that's a requirement, treble slate. We can also do key and fill, and then you can adapt SFPs if you wanted to have fiber or some other sort of connection out of this card along with your baseband, and then your clean and quiet switching as well. And then the 2K to 4K is also one option that you can basically enable on this, but it kind of defeats the whole purpose of why you have this card with multiple channels, because when you go to a 4K solution, now you have a 1-channel card, which essentially you're going back to the 9904. And then on the output, you see we have essentially the same dedicated connection to the inputs. You also have the AES and MADI out with HDMI out, and then you can configure the SFP to be either a TX or RX. But again, it's really up to the user to define exactly how they want to use that. And then being able to do your up-down cross conversion with embedding and de-embedding per path, which is a nice feature of this card. Next slide. And then again, yeah, you have the 4 channels that I just mentioned within the same card. And then another nice feature that we offer on this particular platform, the 9905, is that by default, you get what we call the 3D LUT capable solution on this. What that means is that you can process multiple channels with this LUT capability. And to do that, we typically would have to talk to one of these third-party softwares. So one of them is LiveGrid, the second one is Wonderlook, for Wawa Wonderlook. And then this card, you can have it sitting in a frame, so you can have multiple cards in a frame, or you can define it as a standalone solution to be able to have it on set and be able to take any S-Log, for example, from a Sony camera, process that and generate a proper Q file, which would be the processed 3D LUT file. And the way you talk to this card or the standalone frame is by utilizing the backplane, and it has a dedicated 1 gig port that now allows you to be able to have a separate connection to the card to do your transfer and conversion process of the Q file without affecting the regular standard communication to the card, which is something that you would normally do through dashboard. So this is, again, it's part of the card. This is one of the intended purposes of having this 9905, is to be able to offer this more flexible approach to 3D LUT processing. Plus, you also get all the other benefits that the 9904 offers, but in this more flexible package. Next slide.
And this one I'll take. It's the new Indigo 2110 series. This is an option, a factory option for the 9904 and the 9905 cards. The daughter card, the Indigo daughter card, has got two 25 gig Ethernet ports, so it can do 2022-7 seamless redundancy with 4K. If it's mated with the 9905, it will do 4K, 4 3G SDIs, and if it's mated with the 9904, it will do a 4K in and out. So this allows you to have native 2110 operation in your network. And these devices still have the SDI ins and outs. So if you need a gateway, it will work as a gateway. You can take SDI in and 2110 out, 2110 in, SDI out, or 2110 in, 2110 out. And there's no limitation to the functions that the board itself will do. So it's the same functionality, but now we can drop it natively on a 2110 workflow. And it's got also full support for NMOS, ISO 4, ISO 5 for your management. This slide here is showing, it's an application slide showing the full package. Now, how do you put put together every single one of these things we talked about for HDR conversion and distribution? You can use the 9904 to do conversion from SDR to HDR, SL HDR1. You can use the encoders to transmit that, and the encoders are capable of converting the SL HDR1 metadata and put it in the bit stream. The decoders will do the inverse operation, and you can have that signal that's compatible with both SDR and HDR. And as I said, if specifically the encoder was the very first encoder to be qualified to do HDR to YouTube. That's how they actually developed the feature. They validated the feature. So it works automatically directly to YouTube as well. So we have a full solution. And by the way, most of the ATSC3 broadcasters that are using HDR are using Cobalt products for that processing. So this is an application slide that has everything. And now back to you, Chris.
Great, thanks, Cyril. So now to continue on the 4K 12G domain, now we have this product that we call the 9971 MV. In this scenario, what we're showing here is the 18 input version of this multiviewer, but we also have a 6 input version of this multiviewer. What's very unique about this is that this supports multiple rasters. So that means that you can have signals from SD all the way through 12G, and it also supports square division or the 2SI if needed, which is quite unique for a product like this, because others, either they do one or the other, or they even down-res the resolution just to be able to preserve any resources or processing power in the car. In our case, we try to keep it as pristine or the same quality as we get or we receive the input, and we just essentially display it. So you can have a nice combination of different pips where you have mix and match with different resolutions. They can all be viewed on an output display, which could be a 4K display through HDMI or an SDI output. What we offer with this, we offer digital clock, time code burn, closed caption, which is all your typical supported features of a product like this. Plus, you also have, as an option, you can have a dual head output, which means you can allocate some of those inputs into multiple, outputs by having the dual output. And as I said, you support the resolution all the way to 4K UHD, but you also have the ability to be able to work with different time code, and then also having the ability to work with, like, for example, a TSL protocol if that's a need for some of the applications out there. And it can be mounted in a basically in an open gear frame. For now, we do not have anything smaller in a backplane, because obviously the inputs sort of dictates what this car can have. But again, it's a very simple but very powerful system that allows you to have the density and the controls that you would otherwise expect with any multiviewer like this. Next slide. And then finally, with this slide here, what we're showing here is what we have to offer as a Cobalt sort of infrastructure frames for the Open Gear ecosystem. As many of you guys may know, that we have the Open Gear HPF platform, which is Cobalt's design and manufacture system that essentially is good for any Open Gear card out in the market today. And then we also offer the new, which is the BBG 1300 FR. This is sort of like the smaller package that performs just as well or even better than the typical HPF for OGX. With the smaller package and also with the top one, we offer both redundant power. We support also SNMP, have all the advanced networking, and they're fully controllable or managed through dashboard. But the exception is really on the BBG 1300 that offers the ability to have not just control through dashboard, but also through the front panel. As you can see there, it has dedicated buttons and knobs that allows you to basically make all the adjustments, set up your network information, and be able to monitor the system directly from there. What is also very unique about this, the standalone BBG 1300, is that users can essentially have this frame, and you can easily interswap or interchange cards as needed. You can basically, if you have a split rear backplane, you can have up to 2 cards inside of this frame with either a single or multi-channel processing configuration. So that adds a certain degree of density and redundancy if needed. And you can also put 3 of these frames side by side in a 19-inch space, one or your rack space that allows you to basically have a smaller footprint with the same capability that you would have with the OGX or the HPF. And again, this is a BBG 1300 that if anybody hasn't seen it, I would urge you guys to take a first spin. We have a lot of customers that are using this for day-to-day, either to troubleshoot, but also to put it in very, very unique applications where space is a premium. And so this really fits in that. And it just basically expands beyond any OGX or HPF configuration that you would have. Yeah, that's essentially it for this. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask us. And then I'll pass it back to Susanna.
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you, Cyril, for helping us with the presentation today. I am Susanna Brady, I head sales and marketing for Cobalt. It's been a pleasure having you. I am taking a look at the questions that are coming in the chat box, and we're going to address them next. But thank you again, and have happy holidays, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.